Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat.
And
this is the fake ass book club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Okay, guys, welcome back. This is the Fake Ass Book Club. This is your girl, Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey, Kat. What's up, friend?
Hey, Moni. Just living this book life.
I already know, man. This is good. Like, we had a weekend. We had to get some reading in,
Mm-hmm.
So, I know that we announced last week that it was a fakester, but, we can do what we want. We do. It happens. And actually,
it's a real one.
It's a real one. So, basically, this book, I'm trying to think who recommended this. I know because so Kat recommended this book. We do have like a list of books and stuff, but I always like to think to myself, wait, who put this on the list? So this was a book that Kat recommended for us to read today, which is Dawn by Octavia Butler. And I'm super excited to talk about this book today, friend. This is going to be fun.
Me too. I've been wanting to talk about this. I've been keeping it to myself ever since I finished it this afternoon.
Wow. That's a long time.
It is.
How did you manage?
I don't know. Just iron will.
Yes, I like it. This is what I like about you, friend. You got that willpower out here.
Discipline.
So you know what, you guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this book. Here's a little small summary here. We've got Lilith Ayepo. She has just lost her husband and son when an atomic fire consumes the earth, the last stage of the planet's final war. Hundreds of years later, Lilith awakes deep in the hold of a massive alien spacecraft piloted by the Oankali, who arrived just in time to save humanity from extinction. They have kept Lilith and other survivors asleep for centuries as they learned whatever they could about Earth. Now it's time for Lilith to lead them back to her home world, but life among the Oankali on the newly resettled planet will be nothing like it was before.
Dun,
oh God.
Dun.
Wow.
Woo. Boy,
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into.
Absolutely. So can you say sci-fi? Can we say, you know what I mean? We're out here. So this is fun. I feel like this is a little divergent from what we've read so far. So I'm excited to dig into it, you guys. Hopefully you are. But before we get started, you guys, let's put our hands over our hearts. Let's dedicate this episode like we always do. We like to dedicate each and every episode to all of our listeners. You guys are the best. Okay. We have listeners all across the world at this point. And it's just super neat to see. So thank you guys for checking us out, supporting us, and rocking with us. Also, if you guys have anything you guys want us to read, talk about, whatever you want to let us know about the show, please reach out to us. And you can reach us at thefabpodcast@gmail.com. Book suggestions, you guys, we have that segment Stranger Than Fiction. It can be a real life story. It could be anything in the news, anything you think might be interesting for us to read and share on this show. Please do that. And let's see, I don't have an official dedication. I think I'm just going to dedicate this to myself for making it through this week. Okay. There's been a lot going on. Actually, you know what? I'm going to dedicate this to both of my brothers, because I just love them. So shout out to you guys.
Sweet. That's what's up. Well, yes, and that your brothers are nice people. Not nice, but like they're cool. You know what I mean? They're interesting, cool. You know what I'm saying? Intelligent people.
Yes, they are.
Because I can't really say nice though.
Well, one of them is always nice, and then the other one, I feel like no.
He always flicks me off.
That's nice though. That's nice because he could cuss you out and he didn't.
I mean, okay, all right. They're both super nice. Yeah. My dedication is going out to Nichelle Nichols, who people may know as Lieutenant Uhura from the original Star Trek, or the Black Lady from Star Trek, from the original one. She was such an inspiration. I actually did read her autobiography, Beyond Star Trek. She's a survivor of sexual assault. Like, she took this super powerful dude in Canada, to court over raping her. Like, she's had to deal with a bunch of discrimination and bullshit in Hollywood because they didn't even want to hire her for the show, even though this was a show about diversity in the future. the Hollywood execs were like, oh no, black lady on TV, like, oh, I don't know. So they would only hire her as a day player. They wouldn't give her a contract. But Gene Roddenberry spun it so she actually got paid more by doing that. But like they wouldn't even give her fan mail. It's so much. If you get a chance to check it out. But to me, it was as simple as just seeing a bad bitch in space. Like you can be smart, you can be sexy, you can be in a position of authority, and it just meant so much because she wanted to quit. She was like, "Oh, this is so much bullshit. I don't know if I can take it." And Martin Luther King got her to like stay on Star Trek. He was like, "No, this is too important for children, like for people to see you in that position. You have to stay on the show." So thank you, Martin Luther King, for keeping her on the show. That's probably one of my favorite things Martin Luther King Jr. ever did. And thank you for Nichelle Nichols for enduring everything you endured. Like you're amazing.
Not Martin Luther King.
Yeah, Martin Luther
Wait,
King.
so dedication over
Yeah, been
officially,
over.
but that's crazy. Not Martin Luther King talking her
Yeah,
into staying on the
staying on the
show.
show when she was
That was
about to quit.
unexpected.
Yeah, she was
Wow,
like, "Nah, I gotta tell you, Martin, some bullshit."
damn.
And he was like, "Yeah, tell me about it. I know some
Martin Luther
bullshit."
the King. Okay,
Yeah,
damn.
but
It's official. That's how you know
yeah.
she's official. When Martin Luther King rides for you, you know you're official out here.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
pretty
why
cool.
I'm wearing people or if you're on YouTube, I'm cosplaying today in my Lieutenant Uhura from the Mirror universe because that's when she was like really like because she was also a professional dancer, so she had this incredible body.
She was. Listen. If you don't know who she is, it's okay. She was absolutely beautiful. Like
I'm gonna put together a tribute clip for
she
Instagram. So
is
if you want to know,
beautiful. My
yeah,
God,
she
yeah, she
was
was, and she was
stunning.
giving abs and legs and face and face. The category is life, and she had it all covered.
Giving
So,
it. And
absolutely,
intelligent. She was like
that
the
too.
communications officer, like, she knew, like, dozens of languages. It was just amazing. Sorry, I know the dedication was over, but it's actually very apropos for what we're reading today, which is Dawn, which is a Black woman writing science fiction, which is
Absolutely,
why I wanted to read it because 'cause I'm like, "Wow, I love sci-fi, and we represent Black women here at the Fake Ass Book Club."
true that. I like it too. All right. Well, you know what? Let's dig into it, you guys. So Octavia Butler is the author of our book today. If you were gonna read this book, it's about 248 pages. Um, I know
I
you
have
said you're done with
250.
this. Well, see, so somewhere up in there. And then it was first published May of 1987 by Warner Brothers, it looks like. And I'm going to give you guys just a little bit about Miss Octavia Estelle Butler. She is an American science fiction writer, one of the best known among the few African American women in the field. She won both the Hugo and Nebula Awards, which I'm not familiar with, but both sound
Ooh. Yeah.
amazing. In
Isaac
1995,
Asimov, like, a lot of really famous sci-fi people have won those.
that's awesome. 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 She became the first science fiction writer to receive the MacArthur Foundation Genius Grant. And let's see what else. Accolades.
I believe that's worth
Um,
$1,000,000, by the way.
is it really?
I believe so. I'd have to check to be sure, but I feel like the MacArthur grant is, like,
I
super I
know it's
think
official though. I know that one's
yeah,
super
it's very
official.
official.
Yeah. So, but basically, I mean, she's a beloved writer. It looks like she passed away of a stroke when she was 58 years old, but her papers and research and collections
And
of
that was in
literary work.
2006.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
2006. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought, but yeah, anyway,
Sorry.
she's out here in these streets. She's great, and I was really excited to read one of her books because I have seen, her books. I've seen a lot of reviews of her books, and I've heard good things. So I'm super excited to dig in. So I think, Kat, why don't like give us kind of a breakdown of the synopsis of the actual story that we like dig into, and then we can kind of get into some of the themes and dig into those.
So we start out in this book with Lilith. She's awakened by the alien race. And once again, okay, just for a little context, I read it like old school read it, and Moni listened to it. So I'm probably going to mispronounce some things because these names are very alien and weird, and I'm going to do my best. So Lilith is awakened by the Oankali.
Yes.
Okay, Oankali, 250 years after human life is destroyed on Earth, they are interested in using her as an emissary to other humans to that they want to awaken as well, to allow them to quote unquote trade.
Hmm.
And can I also say when they kept using the word trade, it just made me think of sort of like gay male parlance about like, have you ever heard that before when they talk about trade?
Oh, okay. Listen, I don't know if it's gay. When you said gay male parlance, what the hell is parlance?
Like vocabulary.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that word. So you
Sorry.
lost me and I didn't know what was happening. Yes, I have. Yes,
Okay.
have I heard the slang for a person
Yeah.
who is not actually, they don't say they're gay, but they still have gay sex?
Yeah, kind of gay for pay. Or now it's just kind
Yeah.
of like an attractive gay younger man or whatever. But anyway, that's not how they're using it here. But whenever they said it, it did have a sexual context to me.
Okay.
Anyway,
Curious.
Lilith is genetically altered by the Owen Collie to be stronger, to beat her cancer, for communication. She ends up getting an eidetic memory, which is like a photographic memory, is kind of like the more common parlance. She was tasked with awakening rescued humans, training them. Once she like awakened about 40 of them and tried to train them, it immediately turned to violence and resistance.
Immediately
Her
violence. Immediately
immediate like
violence.
almost immediately,
Gee,
pretty much every time she
Louise.
encountered another human, like the violence was so immediate, especially if they were male. She did like meet a cool guy, but he's murdered by one of the other men. But she's also impregnated with his sperm after he dies by one of the Olenkali. Like they were able to store his sperm and without her permission impregnated her, and then she goes to Earth, and then that's where we end it.
Yes. Very, very
So
nice. Yes. It was
yeah,
a lot. It was a lot
it
going. It
was
was a
a
lot.
lot.
And I feel like I saw it was like broken. Like when you look at the chapters on the audiobook, it's broken into like 4 sections. So you have the first section being like the womb. And so like you were saying, like that part is when Jaya's Jaya. It's like it's spelled where there's lots of consonants in it, but Jaya is like this is one of the Owen Collie, who she first encounters or whatever, and they have her like she's like you said, like asleep for years and years and years, and during that time, like they're studying her. So like that whole first section is sort of like her coming out of these sleeps. Like she came out of sleep at one point and would wake up and go back. Like they would be asking her questions and maybe she'd refuse. And then eventually, she'd talk to them or whatever. But like over the course of that 250 years, she had been reawoken a few times. And this last time, they kind of were giving her task like, yo, you're going to have to train these people because Earth is destroyed. We're going to send some of y'all back, but you're going to have to know how to survive because it's not the same Earth. Like it's,
and and also part of the reason they needed her to act as an emissary is because for one, she had a strong will to be alive. And
mm-hmm.
also to the Olin Collie, they didn't want to do it themselves because they're so repulsive to human beings, like their appearance. They're like these think Kang and Kodos from The Simpsons, like the aliens, the
Oh
slobbery
yeah,
aliens.
they were gross. They had like hard gray skin with like these sensory tentacles like on their hair and stuff, heads and arms. And then they had tentacles that were like I guess like they kind of acted like human sensory organs, if you will. You know what I mean? And there were 3 genders of them too, because they were male and female. And then there was the
Uloi.
Uloi. The Uloi,
Yeah.
they were like in between, like both or not one. I don't know. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and it was just, like, that part was like, "Okay, so where are we going with this?" And there was, like, a lot of focus on the fact, like you're saying, with their appearance, her having to get used to being around them and seeing them and getting comfortable being around them because they were so repulsive that she, like it was just there she was basically disgusted with them, and then they're trying to tell
Yeah.
her, like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to help other people get used to us," and she's like, "I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to do this. This is
And also
crazy."
you'll be mating with us.
Uh, I don't they didn't come out and just say that
No, they
though.
didn't, but that was the subtext.
Yes, definitely that
Yeah,
was the
like,
subtext.
whenever they kept saying trade, I'm like, what are we
That's
trading
funny
here?
that you said that. I did get the sexual connotation, but not because of that word per se. It kinda put me in the mind of colonialism.
Mm.
because it was kind of like, your shit's gone, you're here now, you know what I'm saying, and you're gonna basically have to adapt to our culture and probably eventually, the reproduction part, because like you were saying, they kind of, well, I don't know, like she had to live with this family of Owen Collie, basically, you know what I'm saying, and the one that she got stuck with, I think, was, um what
I
was the
called
name
it
of it?
because the one you said before, it
Nikanji,
was Nakanji's
Nikanj.
kid, right?
Yes, yes.
Who
It's not like fully mature, and I think it's technically uh Uloy, like it didn't have a gender.
oh, well, I didn't mean Nakanji's kid. Like, what was the one that started with a J that originally awakened her?
That was, the way it's said is like, oh my gosh, Nyaya or something. It's like you don't hear, it's like a J and then a D. So
Okay.
it's like Nyaya or something like
Okay.
that. Nyaya. That's
Oh,
who it was.
wow.
You guys are welcome.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, but and also too when they describe the tentacles, and here's the other thing too that, and it's probably just from watching so much anime. Whenever I hear or see tentacles, I immediately think like, oh, this is probably going to be rapey.
Oh, and it was.
Oh, very,
Yeah,
yeah,
very much so.
yeah. So to me, I was like to me that was pretty predictable
Yeah.
that they were gonna use those for raping.
I was just gonna say, in the first part, like the womb part of it in that section, they do mention that, like, they're traders. You know what I'm saying? Traders, as in they seek genetic, like, to trade, like, with people, so any kind of like creatures that they come in contact with, they figure out how can we almost like elevate their, what can we use from them, basically, like it's an
Right.
exchange or whatever of actual, like, maybe it's DNA, maybe it's
Well, they
whatever, you
liked
know what I
her
mean?
cancer. 'Cause they
Yes,
were able to
exactly.
manipulate that into a regenerative power,
Yes. So
and s
that was
yeah, that was fascinating.
that's
Well,
how you
to me,
knew it was gonna be rapey.
I really liked how she used, like, to me, it was good sci-fi because she actually used, like, it wasn't just fantasy, you know what I mean? Like, this was pretty much rooted in science because it was interesting because the, Ol ugh, Oankali, they're, like, plant-based
Mhm.
aliens, which
Mhm.
to me is always fascinating, like, that w their evolution, and because they also seemed kind of aquatic too, and, the idea, because I watch a lot of sci-fi, so to me, it's always really funny when they, like, I watch Solar Opposites, and they're plant-based aliens, and they would make jokes about that. They're like, "Humans don't even season their ground," like, like, because they taste with their feet because they're plants, and, like, it
Mm.
was, to me, the world building was really fun,
Yeah, she did a really
even
great
though it's
job.
very heavy subject matter. This isn't a fun read.
No, fun is not the word. No,
No,
definitely not. It's a lot
it
going on there.
it's intense.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's like post-apocalyptic. You know what I mean? So obviously, Earth is like on its last thread, and they basically are just preserving it so they can send a few back. But even then, it's like it's still altered, right? Like, I mean, if you're trading DNA and you're like intermingling with the different species, it does innately. I mean, are you even human anymore? So I thought that was an
That is the big
interesting concept.
question. Because
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, are they? Because when she starts awakening other people, they are way more resistant to it than she is.
Right. So this is sort of like the section that's considered the nursery section. So like this is the section where she kind of finds herself in this huge room. So like the room, like they're in this huge spaceship that's basically, I don't know, like a
An
tree or something, because it's
organism.
living too. Yeah, it's like a living
Yeah.
organism, but it's gigantic, and there's like 80 humans there, but she's gonna wake up half of them. And so after she's been living with this family for a while, just to get used to being around them, to the point where she kind of learned some of their language and everything like that, they want her to wake them up and get them, because it was like, we won't show ourselves to the humans until you get them prepared for it, basically. And so, like you said, every few days she's waking up people, and the conflict, the distrust, the violence, everything escalates, escalates, escalates. And it was just really odd, because I mean, it instantly went into, that hierarchical, like, there's always this sort of like jockeying for position that we do as humans. So it just kind of highlighted that part of humanity, which also makes them look crazy compared to the aliens. Cause like, okay, so for one, the aliens seem like they're all plant based, and like, I guess it made it interesting to me because usually when you think about aliens and them coming in contact with you, it feels like they're trying to dominate you. But it seemed like she was trying, like they were trying to dominate humans. You know what I mean? Basically, but they were doing it so gingerly. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like overt. It was very like, this is going to be of your free will. But then also they were able to like touch you and like dose you with chemicals that change your, like that made you more docile or more agreeable and stuff. And it's like, well, how, you know what I mean? Like, is that better?
Right.
Because the
Well,
contrast was that the humans were, like, very, like you say, very forceful and rapey and, all the
brutal.
shit that makes humankind not worth saving in most sci-fi, in the context of a sci-fi story. Because there's always, like, you're having to earn the right to live anymore because it's like, why are
Yeah.
humans even here? They're dumb. They don't, you know what I mean? It's like, you guys are pieces
Right.
of shit. Like, why should another species care? So in contrast to the Oankali, I just felt like humans felt super, basic and, what's the word? Barbaric, damn near, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at
Well,
the
they
same
bombed.
time
I mean, they kind of had a point, right? When they came
they
in, they
did.
were like, left to your own devices, you destroyed yourself. Like we came in and rescued what was left of you
Yeah.
and took you to where you'd be safe because Earth was unlivable. So, and also that makes me think they'd probably been watching them for a while.
Oh, I'm
The fact that
sure.
they came just in time, you know what I mean? Like they waited until it was, there wouldn't be a lot of resistance.
Mhm.
And then also, like in the prologue, you kind of learn because they give you a little sample of the next book, and you kind of see a POV from one of the human Olankali hybrids, and he's able to feel the pain, like all the pain that he produces, he can also feel. I think, yeah, the Olankali feel all the pain that they cause, so they're highly motivated to not cause pain. But it goes back to, is it better to be a gorilla pimp or a silky pimp? It's still all pimping.
It's all pimping, and then it just kinda raised the question too because it was almost like, so after they got to the point where she opened, like, so these people are there, this hierarchy kinda, like, they quickly kinda turned on Lilith because they just felt like, "Bitch, you're not even human. Are you human?" And so
Is she?
even the guy, right, because, I mean, the thing is, like, at this point, you've been hooking up with your,
NJ.
yeah, you know what I mean? And she even had the guy, what was his, Peter? Was that his name? Am I making that up? Jesus. Um, so there was a gentleman who she was, like, kind of involved with, Joseph, it was his name.
Yeah.
Her mate or whatever. They end up kinda, like, raping him sort of, right? Like, the
Yeah.
Owen Collie guy, like, he was,
He
was
was
it
like, your mouth is saying no, but your
Nikanj.
body's saying yes.
Yes. I was like, "This is crazy as hell," and it was, again, like, they would put their tentacle around your neck, and it would, like, probably heroin or some shit, I don't know, or a Molly or, whatever those drugs
Right.
that make you feel like, "Oh, everything feels great."
It's cool.
But yeah, but he wasn't exactly conscious, and he had this, so, like, when they're mating with you, they can give you the experience of having sex with your mate, so it's not like you're having sex with them, you know what I mean? But technically you are, and I
Yeah, it's
remember
like there's a scene in Demolition Man that's like that, where they put on these helmets and they just sit across from each other, and then they have, like, this experience,
with, like,
and,
air
like,
sex.
yeah, and, dude, like, takes the helmet off, he was like, "What the hell is that?" And she was like, "Well, sex," and he was like, "That wasn't sex," and she was
Bitch,
like, "What are you
right.
talking?" He was like, oh, she was like, "What, you wanna do fluid transfer?"
She's like,
And
"That's
he was like
gross." He's like,
right,
yes, I do, as a
but
matter of
that's the
fact."
thing, like, which one's worse? I don't know.
But that's what makes us human, the way we, you know what I mean? That's part of our
All
humanity,
that
so, like,
squishiness.
yes, and the guy, Joseph, he was like, he was shitty, like, as he should be, because especially I thought it was interesting too, the males were the ones that had, like, a really hard time with the shit because it was like, we're not used to, like, this is not our
Being
position typically.
taken.
Yes. It's like, "How dare you, madam, sir," whatever you may be. um,
Right.
Uloy, whatever. It was just like,
Yeah, that Pepe Le Pew stuff and be like, yes, yes, yes.
it's like, but but yeah, but with chemicals that make you feel good, and you can't really consent when it's like, okay, you're high though, and you're manipulating my reality so that I'm more docile, but it would be like once those drugs wore off, that was the thing. Like some of the humans were like, you know what, let's just fuck it, like this is our best chance, kind of. But then a lot of them were like, no, like look,
I'd
like
rather die
I don't want to,
pure.
yeah, like I don't want to be penetrated by these fucking aliens. This is not what I like.
Lilith.
Absolutely, my fucking
Well,
not.
and the alien who woke Lilith up actually gave her the option of suicide. Like if she didn't want to participate, he was like, I get it. If you don't want to do this, I could just give you a quick, painless death.
Jaya.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she was like, nah, I'm going to keep living. But what I kept asking myself while I was reading the book is staying human, this version of human, that important? Like, because
Mm,
I think there is this, what I put in my notes, this desire for conservatism to stay as we are. But like throughout all of life on Earth on the planet, like everything's evolved. Like
true that.
we're fairly new to the planet, the human species. So, and since we've been here, we've changed a lot. Like I think it's better that we're not the same like as we were as like cavemen and stuff. I
Right.
think and the fact that 1,000 years from now we might be very, very different. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think like the current version of humanity, because even when she wrote this back in the 80s, oh, guess what? The United States and Russia were beefing. And guess what? It's 2022 and we're still in the same position. Like we don't seem to be moving forward. Even the Olin Collie were like, yeah, we're gonna be cloning y'all and stuff, but we don't really want to wake up a whole bunch of dudes. Like your males are kind of an unsolved problem.
That
Because
was
men,
very interesting.
I mean, but and it was crazy because they were wildly violent in this, but it wasn't like outlandish. I was like, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, so one of the more interesting stories on that note would be like Paul Titus. Like, so that was like the first man that Lilith sees. So this is during the time where she's sort of like being indoctrinated into the culture of the Oankali and having to live with this family so that she can stomach being around them and possibly train these humans she has to wake up. And Paul's been awake a lot longer than Lilith, and he's been living with his family since he was like a teenager, like 14 or 15 years old.
Yeah.
And so if you think about that from the standpoint of like not ever being around humans from the time that you're 15, how emotionally
Yeah.
arrested you might be at that time,
Yeah.
that lack of maturity or whatever. And they basically was like, yeah, you'll be able to have sex with this human female woman, just basically assuming that she'd be like cool with
Damn.
it. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so when she actually was introduced to him and they have this interaction or whatever, like they're like horrified because Paul ends up trying to rape her and ends up beating her ass.
Hard.
And yeah, and
And this
like
was
within the
before
inch of her
she got
life.
the enhancements to make her super strong.
Right. Cause after
And
that
he
she got the
probably
healing and
had.
stuff. Right, exactly. So I don't know, like it was just interesting because she doesn't blame him because she's like, I mean, this is kind of y'all fault. What do you think men'll do? Like you deprive a man of human contact with, especially with other women. You know what I'm saying? Violate his mind, his body, treat him like an animal. How the fuck you think he gonna act? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's ever actually taught him how to be a man. And I thought, wow, that's kind of like that's interesting because, yeah, that's probably
I mean, yes and no, because it is a
from that
very
standpoint.
nice way to excuse a rapist. Like, I feel like he still knew it was wrong.
He knew it was wrong, but they've been raping his ass too. So, like, what scenarios have you
Well,
observed that haven't been
but not
rapey?
like that though.
It, but he,
He
but he did what felt natural.
I
I'm
mean,
just
cause
saying, men left to their own devices seem to be pretty feral for the most part. And I'm
yeah,
not excusing it and saying that it's cool, but I do think that that's a thing, which is
it's the
what you're
unsolved
saying.
problem.
It is the unsolved problem. It's the part about evolution and like,
Yeah.
we can choose to like set ourselves in that more animalistic sort of um primary sort of like mind frame of
Reptile
like,
brain.
yeah, like we can do that because that's
Yeah.
part. But like you say, I mean, as we evolve as humans and stuff like that, there has to be some sort of metric for that, or conscious evolution, like this higher, like we have to elevate that. Like I don't know that just gets elevated out of nowhere. Like, I think it's easier to be at the default or whatever. And I'm not excusing it either. I'm just saying, yeah, that seemed like you said. I just think it seems like, yeah,
It
that's
wasn't,
probably
like,
how it would go
outlandish.
down.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't like, "Oh, I don't think that's how it'd be." No, that was a pretty good
Yeah.
estimate.
Especially because
But
they told
oh,
him, like, oh, she's
yeah.
gonna let you fuck tonight.
Well, because that's what I was gonna say, the Oankali seemed to be very bad at predicting human behavior
They were
throughout the
terrible at
book.
it.
That happened over again where Lilith was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this is what's gonna happen." They're like, "No,
No.
man, we're pretty sure we're gonna, like" No,
No.
it was like Violent City,
Yeah, it was.
but it also reminded me a bit of, a couple episodes back when we read How to Be Perfect,
Same.
and there was that idea of I am because we are.
Mhm.
And that kept popping up in my head too, because even Lilith, even though she was super, like, kind of, indoctrinated into the Oankali, like, philosophy, she still needed to be around other people and, like,
Mhm.
deeply yearned it. That's why she was begging to meet that, Paul guy
Yeah.
and, everything else. Like, it's um, this desire, but what was
We're
crazy
human through
too.
each other, that's what I'm saying, like, are you even still human, though?
Yeah,
Like, when you are not around other
but
humans, though, too.
is being human that great?
No, it's wonderful and terrible all at once.
And that's what they kept saying too. They like the Oankali were like, "Yeah, this wouldn't be so difficult if you guys weren't so compelling." W
See? That's it. There you
Can I
have
tell
it.
you something too that's super weird?
Yes. Of course.
So, I've never read any of her work before.
That's weird.
No,
Me
this is the
either.
weird part.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
wrote a comic book back when I was in school. I took a comic book course, and we had to write a comic book, and I wrote a sci-fi comic book that was kinda similar to this. Like
Really?
yeah, I named my alien tentacle race though the Voltari or some not Voltari,
I'm about to
it was
say
something started with a V. I'd have to find it or whatever. But it was very similar where they would wrap their tentacles around your neck and read your thoughts, and they were actually getting high off of our emotions.
oh,
And so they
wow.
were just breeding humans because there were certain humans that got them higher.
Jesus.
And I know, right? But, like, it sounded like it was sort of a reciprocal thing too, because in my version,
Mhm.
like, the humans were getting high off of it as well and, like, got addicted to the procedure that my alien race I made up would do to them. And it was the same thing too where it was, like, dystopian because it was after, the ice caps had melted. So, like, all Earth was underwater, so it was actually a tentacle race that could, like, live underwater and just built
Ah.
structures underwater where human beings could live. But, like, that was what was so wild to me. I was like, "What? This is interesting." We had a lot of this there was a lot of crossover.
Wow, that's pretty yeah. Because I haven't ever wrote a sci-fi story about any of that, and, so the fact y'all on the
Yeah.
same wavelength there.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I think we
Mm-mm-mm.
kind of view humanity a little bit the same way, and also too,
Yeah.
because 'cause I've always loved sci-fi. Like, to me, it's always interesting how aliens would see us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, it would be. I just it's not anything that I've like, really thought about you know what I mean? It's like,
Fair.
yeah.
I think about it
Unless
a
I'm watching a
lot.
movie about it, yeah, it's like I'm not really thinking about it.
I think about space so much, and one of my
Mhm.
favorite things from Star Trek, just to, bring it back to Star Trek like we should,
As we do.
um, was in one of the movies, an alien race just assumed whales were the dominant life force, on the planet because most of the Earth is water,
Mm,
and whales are bigger than people, and they
true.
have civilizations and language, so they weren't interested in humans at all. They wanted to talk to the whales.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Did
"Yeah."
they?
Huh?
Did they talk to him?
They did, yes, but
Oh,
then when they came back later to visit them and, like, human beings had, like, made all the whales extinct in the future, they got real pissed off and were trying to blow the Earth up. So Spock and Kirk had to go
bitches.
back in time and get some whales to talk to the aliens and say, "Hey, don't blow us up."
I mean, why would they do that?
What?
Why would the whales tell them not to blow us up?
Because whales are cool like that.
Man, if they knew it was good for them, they would've been like, "You know what?
Fuck them
Blow their asses
hoes.
up. Fuck them. They ain't doing nothing but" you know what I'm saying? Fucking up this shit anyway. I mean, that's the feeling you always get from sci-fi movies. Like, it's almost always, like I said before, you having to prove why you should even exist based on the fact that you're so goddamn stupid.
That was the first episode of Star Trek Next Generation. They did the Grand Inquisitor kind of thing from
Why are we doing this, guys?
Dostoevsky, I think it was. And there was a scene in it called the Grand Inquisitor where they basically put humanity on trial. And like Q does that in Encounter in Starpoint where he was like, yeah, explain to me why humans deserve to live
We would
or I'm
never
killing
make it if
everybody.
it came down to that. Like, I just don't think we would make it as a species
Captain
because it's
Picard
very
made a
fucked
good
up.
case for it.
Sure, he did.
He
But I
did.
mean, in real life, though.
Well, this was future. This is Star Trek in the future, though, when humanity has learned to work together and
Right. I'm talking about real life right now, though.
yeah, but like right now, no. Like I
I
said,
don't
Earth
think
is
anybody can make a
ghetto. We
great
need
case.
to
Then
kind
I
of
want to
like if
leave.
that's
Been
why I
there.
think about space all the time because I was like, yeah, because honestly, like with Lilith, I kept siding with her because even when the other humans were like, girl, you are a shill for the oppressor. Because
She
that was the
was.
thing, like after I read the book, I went ahead and looked up some reviews on it. And a lot of people said that she's sort of a modern mammy figure where
So you know what I mean, and it is slavery, but it did sort of like this was a story to me about it was like an allegory for colonialism,
yeah,
down to like the raping stuff, but then also to just like the erasure of like your culture. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not it's fucked up or not, right? Because we could argue whether or not, some of the cultural practices from whomever's like homeland are valuable or if they stand the test of time or whatever, right? Because there has to be evolution sometimes and that shit can be antiquated, you know. But just that collective loss of agency that you have. You know what I mean? And how some people are like, "No, I'm going to fight that." Whereas some people are like, "You know what? We're here. Let's do what we have to do to survive." And I did kind of feel like this feels like when somebody takes over your shit. Like this feels like you don't even have control over your womb because even the guy, the rapey
mm.
guy, they took his sperm and impregnated like Paul
Oh, he had like
over
70
like 70
kids.
women that he never even met.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it was like, oh, it's the same kind of thing. Like there's this cultural sort of genocide that happens, and some people are just gonna cling to it no matter how fucking problematic it is because it's mine. You don't get to just
Right.
come up in this bitch and tell me my shit ain't how it's supposed to be and you have a better way. It might be, but like again, it's just I feel like I get that sort of visceral sort of like, hell no. Like, no.
Revulsion.
Yes, just to be revolted by that. And because you feel like you're trying to change me. You're trying to change me. You're not,
Can't
you're not really giving
change
me a
me. You
chance.
can't change me.
Can't
You can't
change me.
change me. You can't
Yes.
change me.
So,
I
I
think
said, wow,
I
this is
I was on the fence though, because it
yeah.
it was interesting though, because the book does take you through a lot of emotions because at
Mhm.
first I'm seeing everything from Lilith's point of view, but then when the other humans show up and they're like doubting, it's like, well, how can you even believe these people? Like a lot of them really thought they were still on Earth. Like, we're not on a ship, we're
Well,
still
bless
on
their
Earth.
heart. And to their point, like, humans, like, our the way that we can perceive reality is really just based on what we can see because they had a whole
Right.
Earth section of the fucking ship that they were gonna put them
Yeah.
on so they could practice before they put them down on Earth. So it was like, how do we know if we don't keep sailing down this water right here, we're not gonna get to like, what if they're just saying that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
that's the other
And
thing because
and that
oppressors
was
will do
legit.
that.
And that was legit because it's like it's because even she kept saying she kept trying to catch them in a lie because she felt like they weren't being completely honest with her.
Mhm.
And, you know what else this reminded because there's so many sci-fi elements in this that reminded me of other sci-fi things I've enjoyed. This is very similar also to Steven Universe. Haven't mentioned that in a while, but
Okay.
there was a episode of Steven Universe where some humans had been captured by an alien race and for generation had been raised in this human zoo on this like moon. And they
Oh
were
yeah.
fed regularly, they were paired together, and they were kind of in this
Utopia.
utopia, but they weren't really human anymore.
Mhm.
And actually even on the show they called them the Zoomans because they were the humans from the zoo or whatever. And actually, I don't think
Huh.
they ever got rescued. I think they just stayed out there on the show. But like or cuz I don't even know if they felt like they needed to be rescued. You know what I
That's just
mean?
it, because it was like, "You know what? I hated how it was before. Because that was the other part too, is
Well, they
she
didn't know anything. These were generations later. They had never even known Earth. Like, they had been for maybe millennia living on this moon.
It's a long time.
It is. It is. And it was like a little simulation too, so they would, like, come in and but it reminded me a lot. Oh! this was the other thing, and I didn't want to give you too much homework, but what this mostly reminded me was the Love, Death, and Robots episode called The Swarm. And it's very much about this alien race who would take the genetic material from other alien races and use it, but they didn't really have intelligence. It was just all pure biological drive, but they could occasionally use intelligence. And when they encountered human beings, at first they were just like whatever, whatever, but then they sensed that human beings were going to try to enslave them for like slave labor, so they turned on their intelligence and like flipped the game on them. It
Wow.
was it was very interesting, but like it's the and it's great too because
Again, there you go, right? Like just the idea of like functioning at a certain level for survival, right? You know what I'm
yes,
saying? Like it's easy to go to your default setting, but sometimes you have to click the switch and elevate the thought pattern in order to survive. You know what I mean? Because when you
yeah.
recognize that, hey, this basic shit I'm doing like this is I have to survive. You have to evolve. You have to kind of switch gears a little bit. So
So
yeah, there
which
you go.
character do you think you would have been most like? Like
Um,
you like I just woke you up out of a pod and everybody cuz that was the thing too with everyone who was awakened, like everybody they had ever known was gone. Like nobody knew each other from the before times. So you wake up to a bunch of strangers who are telling you you're on an alien spaceship and you're
damn.
expected to go back to Earth and kind of like start this whole new Garden of Eden thing.
Yo, I almost kind of feel like now that's I probably would have opted for the old Suicide Boy. 'Cause
I'm
I didn't
out
yeah, because it's like, you know what?
about that.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this right here. You know what I mean?
You
I'm
want to you
already
want a clean death,
tired. I think so. I probably would have just been like, you
but
know
they're
what? I
still
think
gonna
you need to
use your
pick somebody else.
DNA.
Cool. I'll be dead.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So I don't know what happens after you die exactly, but that version of reality I wouldn't be working within. And
Okay.
so, if I can't control what you're gonna do after I'm dead anyway, what the hell do I care if you use my damn DNA? The earth is already fucking destroyed. You know what I mean?
Well, it's back now though. They repaired it.
Okay, but it's the basic shit. I don't want to go back there and learn how to do all that shit. I don't want to do that.
You want to poop in a hole?
No, I don't wanna do that, man. Like, I just I can, but it's just like, no, I don't wanna have to do all of this. This is doing too much, and my husband's dead, and my kids are dead. The life that I knew is not there, and I'm not saying, like, you can't adapt, but I don't know if I would've wanted to.
Fair.
After I had learned everything, like, what they were doing, it's like, this is I don't yeah, like, I don't wanna be the first person. Like, if you had woken me up after this shit had already happened, maybe I coulda got on board, but I can't be the motherfucking Moses of this shit right now. Like, Imma have to I'll have to bow out and let y'all figure this shit
Well,
out.
do you think she would have had more success with the humans if she had taken a more Moses approach? Like, if
Mm,
she had come with a little bit more authority instead of just
some
giving them facts?
fanfare,
Like, if she had yeah,
some
weave together
lies.
I was gonna say a more attractive narrative because people prefer narratives
Mm.
where they get to be the hero,
Yo, we
not
talked about that too. That's true. She probably needed her own little fake ass little Bible situation. You know what I mean? Like the book of whatever, the book of, life book. And these are the things you have to do. This is what I've learned. But then again, that
and
aspect of
especially since she was more
humanity.
powerful than them. Like, the Olin Collie, like, engineered her to be super strong and all this other stuff. Like, she could have been like, I'm a demigod."
Because I did this, you know what I mean? But I just still feel like there's always gonna be people who are gonna try you. There's always gonna be, especially because she was a woman and you're trying to take up authority and you are still in a mind frame of like, we're not in space. You think we're on Earth. You think I'm an alien. I don't know if she would have been able to really convince 80, 40, however many people to continue to I don't want that job. That seems like a terrible job.
But no, okay, so we've mentioned, like, Moses. Let's talk about the Bible because I feel like
Oh
she used a
man.
lot of even calling her Lilith to me immediately stuck out because, for those of us who are listening and may not know, Lilith in just the mythology is
I don't remember. I know it's a
Adam's
Bible
first
name. I don't
wife
remember.
before Eve.
Okay.
So, like, the
I don't remember
version of
that.
the Bible that we grew up with did not cover Lilith, but in some of the books that didn't make it into the final cut of the Bible,
You
There's the
read them?
story of Huh?
You read those?
I mean,
The ones that
not
didn't make the cut?
recently. Huh?
Okay. The ones that
No,
didn't make a cut, you've read?
I haven't not recently, no, but there
Okay.
are lots of books in the Bible that, like, the Vatican did not canonize,
Right, I know
but
that part, I'm just saying,
they're
like, I don't
part
think
of
I've ever
the
read any of those
Oh,
that I
I'm
can think of that
lightly
I know of.
familiar with
Okay.
some of the mythology from some of them. I can't say that I've read them in total, but there
Okay,
is a
okay.
character named Lilith who was the first woman that God gave Adam, but she was disobedient. So she was sent out of the garden and replaced with Eve, and then later came back as kind of like a banshee a little bit. Like she's sort of a villain, but
Why does God
and
keep
but
giving Adam these disrespectful hoes, though? I don't understand.
but she kind of became the symbol of um um like freed women, basically women who won't submit. Like that's kind of her
Ah,
role in mythology,
okay,
basically, in
okay.
sort of the Judeo-Christian like sense or whatever. And she's also in some other mythological traditions as well. But to me that was interesting, and also the fact that her mate was named Joseph.
Yeah,
And the fact that there was sort of not an immaculate conception, but there was a
yeah,
sexless conception between
the 2 of
that
them.
came out of her union with him because yeah,
Ah,
like,
look
to
at
me,
ya.
yeah, I'm making connections there because I
Connect
was
me
like,
all
that's as soon as I
done.
hear those names, I'm like one of my
Mm.
favorite bits from Neil Brennan when he was talking about, like, how Joseph kinda gets the shaft in the Bible. Why can't we, no one ever really talks about Joseph, but, like, he's like, "God, I'm raising your son here. Could you kick in a couple Jerusa dollars or something?"
I mean, and really, he's not even like, like Mary got, she got some real status from that. Like, there's
She
whole prayers
did.
that go to her, and it's like
Mhm.
that I know of. Are there any prayers to Father Joseph, stepdaddy Joseph?
Probably, but they're not famous.
Like nobody
Yeah, because
knows
Neil Brennan
them,
was like, "Yeah, fuck that guy for some reason." Like,
right? For
he's
some reason, it's like he took
like
the whole L socially. It's like, oh, straight up,
he's like
okay,
the yeah, just kind of like, "That's just Jesus' stepdaddy. Don't
yeah,
nobody
you know
care."
him, right? Old carpenter, ass nigga, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that is wild. But yeah, that's a I didn't really pick up on that. I wasn't thinking about all of that, but that is actually really good point there, friend. I can kind of see why that, and especially because yeah, like the Joseph thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And the same
And
way
Lilith.
too, because in the book, they just killed Joseph. Like, I
Yo,
was
they
really sad when
did.
that happened. Like, Kurt
That was
just
messed up. That was really messed up.
Yeah, it
Yep,
was
yep,
like,
yep.
"Dude, why immediately, though? I feel
Yeah.
like y'all weren't even awake that long before you just immediately got to killing people that got on your nerves."
It was very like, the again, like the contrast between like the Oankali and the humans made it look like, why would you ever? Humans are terrible. Like, at least they're like gentle and stuff. Like I
They
like you
could
said,
not
lots of
predict how
feelings.
shitty the humans would
People
act
were,
every
right.
time. It's like, "Why does this keep surprising y'all?"
Yes. I
Like,
keep
you're
telling your
supposed to be
asses.
super smart. You're supposed to have eidetic memories. How are you not remembering what happens every time you deal with these dudes?
Yeah, man.
But like they said, they weren't super. Because I mean, even later on, they're talking about how, like, we were thinking about not even making dudes. Like, we can kinda do this without them, so
Well, and even Lilith was like waiting to wake up men. She was like, she made a concerted effort just to wake up females first because she was like, I need to get some allies first. So if we need to overpower motherfucking, that was
yeah.
before she got her, her healing powers and stuff too. But the last little part of the book, like the training floor, was when they were like learning how to survive in like the on the fake earth or whatever. And I think that's when Joseph got offed, like because basically it was like, they recognized that he had some position because he was like with Lilith kind of,
Mhm.
and they knew that would kind of hit her where she hurt, where it
Well,
hurt
and the fact
basically.
too that they couldn't kill the Oankali, like, the Oankali were too
Mhm.
powerful for them to be able to kill, because the Oankali could kill them with a touch.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, like, if they just didn't want to, they didn't want to kill people, but if they wanted to, they could kill them with just one like, some of them, they had these stingers, they're kinda like jellyfish where they could sting you,
Right.
and it would kill you if they
Yo.
wanted to, but they just
Shit, they
didn't.
was trying to kill Lilith. That's how she found out he was dead because they attacked her ass
Right.
with a machete and knocked her ass out. And when she came to, she was like, "Where the fuck is Joseph?" And tried to
Right.
find him. And then it was like, "Oh, he's dead."
Yeah,
And then it was a
dead.
huge fight between the Oankali at that point with the humans and stuff like that. And it was just, it
But
was
it's
a little bit of
interesting that
everything.
the people tried to kill what they could kill instead of what they wanted to kill, because they wanted to kill the Owen Colony, but they knew they couldn't, so they just killed who they could.
It's just
Like,
crazy. Yeah.
proximity wise, like, it's like,
Yes.
well, you've been altered by them, so you're the closest thing we can do to killing them, even though,
Oh my
like,
God.
that didn't further your cause in any way. And I feel like since this is sort of like an allegory to sort of like you said, colonialism and slavery, it's just how like black people will kill each other, but we wouldn't dare touch a white person.
You couldn't do it. It's just like it's unheard of. They're too
Yeah, like you
powerful.
just almost like biologically, it's like
Yeah. And it says a lot about when you're, again, it makes the enemy a little bit, it makes it a little bit trickier to recognize, especially in this context of, you know, um, waking up in a place and you're being like, you don't know what the fuck is going on. Like your reality basically has been upended. And so I do think that you're always going to have people who are going to fight it and say, no, absolutely, motherfucking not. And then you're going to have people who are like, well, I guess this is what we're doing
let's get
now.
some
And
more information and resources first. That would be my whole
yeah,
thing because like we're obviously outmatched. And to me, dying human isn't that important. Like, honestly, like, I wouldn't mind having some alien superpowers. Like,
mm.
that wouldn't bother me. Like, the fact that I'm not, like, as pure as my ancestors,
So who would you
whatever.
be?
I'd
You be
probably be
Lilith?
like Lilith.
It's
Like,
like,
I'm
come on
like,
with it.
you know
Come on.
what?
I'm having all your alien babies.
It's not ideal, but, like, I like being alive, and I don't know, like, I don't
Being alive is cool. I like it as
yeah.
well. I mean, it's
I
cool.
I kind of find it fascinating what they're doing, even though ethically it doesn't seem like the best.
I mean, it's also terrible, so maybe you can rest knowing that you'll still have that level of terribleness that humans have even when you're an alien.
There
It's
you
like no
go.
matter what version of myself I am, I'm still gonna be, probably a little rapey and, territorial and tribal. And, there you have it. There you go. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're gonna fall on either side of that. I guess I wouldn't knock. I understand both points. And so be it like in the spirit of my indecisiveness, I'd probably just be like, I'm just gonna die. I don't have to make this choice. This is too scary. Can't be
It
the
also
first person to
reminds
do
me of
this
a
shit.
episode of Rick and Morty where there's an alien species where they're just like, "I'm not dealing with this shit," and just immediately kill themselves.
Immediately no. Immediately no.
Mm-mm.
Immediately
He said one
no.
look around at the
Yo,
destroyed planet, it was like,
destroy planet, and then
"Mm-mm."
this gross creature standing across from me. I can barely do bugs here, and they're not even. You know what I'm
Oh.
saying? Like I have to like if there's like say I go in my garage and there's like a huge. I hate to say moth, but for real, like if there was like a huge ass moth that might like fly out at me, I have to like I can't look at it. Like I can't look at it and walk by it. Like I have to not look at it in order to get into my car.
Got you.
And so there's no way I can ignore on Collie. He's making me look or he whatever. It's making me look at it. It's saying, "No, you have to touch me. You have to be around me." Like, I don't want to. I don't want it. I
I
don't
don't
want it.
want it.
I don't want it. I don't
And
want it. I don't
see,
want it.
I'm the,
I
like,
don't
type
know.
like, if I go in the garage and, like, I see a spider, I'm gonna do that thing with, like, a paper and,
Spiders
like
go away. They have enough sense to usually like scuttle out of the way. Like anything that will like get out of the way is fine. But the stuff that's just like, bitch. I'm sitting right here in your motherfucking face. I be like, look, all right, I wanna do this because I'm gonna kill you. That's gonna be my
I
instinct. And I
wonder
know it's
t
wrong.
and I do you think you'll read, like, the other books in the series?
I kinda want to, yeah.
Oh, and can I also say the reason why I chose this one is because, Ava DuVernay, she's supposed to be turning this into an Amazon, project for Amazon Prime.
I'm glad you said that. Yes, it is supposed to be turned into, and that would be interesting to see visually
I
too.
would
I'm
love
curious.
watching this. I really hope it's a series because I feel like there's so much, like, this is
Please.
it's a little similar to, Raised by Wolves on HBO Max.
I haven't seen that one, but
which is sort of similar about like human beings who have to find a new planet because we messed ours up, of course,
yeah.
and just our interaction with an alien species and what's that going to look like. And also when things are so foreign, like they don't have vocal cords or eyeballs, or because that was the thing too with the alien race I made up, they didn't have vocal cords. So like the only way they could communicate was by, wrapping their tentacle around your neck and like tapping into your nervous system.
Oh God. Yeah, so I'm terrified by that. Also too, you
I think
can't
it's neat.
underestimate the like will to survive too though. So
Yeah.
it probably, I mean, honestly, because she was waking up a bunch of times. Like if that happened over centuries, there could be a version of me that's like, you know what?
Fuck it.
Like, let's just see how this goes. You know what I mean? Like, I guess
There's
death is
food.
always an option. Yeah, but it's just like, yo, I don't know, man. I just wouldn't want to be the first. Like, I don't want to trailblaze. Like, can you get, and I think that's the hardest part about doing something new though. It is like when you don't have a roadmap of how it's gonna look and you have to figure it out as you go. I think that's why a lot of change doesn't happen here because people always want it to be somebody else. And sometimes it's like, no, bitch, it's
It's
you. You got tapped for
you.
this shit right here.
You're the
So
ones we've been waiting for.
woo, Lord. Yeah. So it was a whole bunch, man. Like, but overall though, I think it was a really good book. I'm glad you picked it. It's
Yay!
yeah, it
Better
was
than Sex with
fun.
Kings?
I mean, you can I feel like it's unfair to drag that. Yes. Yes. If I just have to quick answer, yes. But the person reading it was really terrible. So
That's okay.
it wasn't really the book's fault for the record.
Yeah.
So remind me real quick though how it ended though, because they did transport some of those remaining humans back to Earth, and that's when she found out she was pregnant, right?
Right. Well, she was hurt because the humans she had awakened, they just ultimately did not trust her and were going to kill her.
Do you blame them? That's what I'm saying. When you're the first person, I'm like, bitch, I don't
Yes.
know what's going on. But
I
when
don't
it's
feel
when
like I always tell my kids you cannot murder your way out of situations.
no.
Like I understand like if they don't trust her, but the fact
Mhm.
that it's like, well, I don't trust this person. I think we should kill them. It's like,
Yeah.
well, she hasn't done anything to harm you. Everything she's told you has turned out to be true. It's
Well,
just not in an attractive package. I feel like this is something I deal with a lot because I tend to be very blunt. And to me, I feel like the truth defends itself, but people will be like, fuck you and your truth.
yeah.
Like,
It's
and
not
and they
always
don't
rational. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can't assume that people are going to be rational. They're going to act
that's
off of how they
irritating.
feel.
That's why
It
we need to
is.
become part
Well,
alien.
that's what makes us human, unfortunately, is that fucked up component of like, again, like I know it's irrational for me to be mad. Get that out of here. Get that little stupid ass hand out of here. That little stupid ass start. If you were sitting next to me, I would
You
smack your
can't
hand down.
though.
I
I'm
know.
on an
I would smack
alien
it.
planet. You
See,
can't
that's
reach
what I'm
me.
saying. The aggression, the human aggression that like that's very like that's not nice. But
Mhm.
also I have a very strong urge to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh wait. Oh, shadow puppets.
I see. No. Okay. So this is when we end the show because now we're off into the
This
into the
is
wind with shadow
this
puppets,
is
y'all. I hope y'all not watching this.
our
Good
fab
evening.
mascot, Mr.
No,
Llama.
it's not. No, it's
Yes,
not.
it
He could
is.
never. He's not fabulous enough. But anywho, people are just terrible. And when we're scared of stuff and things are foreign, we tend to lash out, including myself, especially when it's bugs and other things. And that's been my theory for a long time about why like a lot of white people don't like black folks. It's just because you're not used to seeing them. They're weird, it's foreign, and they may or may not hurt you, but also it's like just I don't want you around me because you make me
They're
uncomfortable.
loud.
Just you're doing too much. Okay. So it's just that kind of uncomfortable feeling like, yeah, nah, like I don't want it. I don't
Or
want it.
it's amazing. Like sometimes
It
or
could be though. It
it
could be, but
could
I think it
be.
takes a lot to get to that.
I guess.
You probably would have to sit in the room with it and let it touch you. I'm talking about,
Or
on Collie.
yeah. I
Yeah.
got you. I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm
For the
glad you
listeners.
enjoyed it. I'm glad it
It was
wasn't a
good.
dud. And I
It was
definitely
not.
want to like experience this more.
Yeah, I definitely will. I don't know if we'll do the whole trilogy on here though, but maybe we'll do some bonus clips of it or something. We always say
Yeah.
we're gonna do stuff and don't even end up fucking doing it. But
Yeah, it's fake ass
if we
book club,
listen
man.
back to this and decide we want to, we might.
Ooh, excuse me. It's a
So,
miracle we're here right now.
oh, maybe that could be bonus content. You guys
There
want
you
bonus
go.
content? Probably not. I
Content,
don't know.
content,
Maybe,
content.
hopefully. You know what? Let's take a quick break. Or wait, do we need to? Let's rate the book. Or did
Oh,
we already do?
okay. Um,
What do you give it?
I'm gonna give it like I mean, for me, it's a 5 out of 5. Like 5 Nebula awards. 5
Oh,
stars, 5
nobody can
destroyed
stop
Earths,
you. You better say it with your chest.
5 everything. To me, it gave me everything I look for in
In sci-fi?
yeah.
Okay, excellent. I'm gonna give it 5 tentacles from the
Sensory
monster
organs.
things. Yeah, 5
5
sensory
sensory organs.
organs. Yeah, because I felt like I liked it a lot. It was good.
Yeah.
No, it was really,
It was
really
good.
good, you guys. Yeah, check it out. She's a fabulous writer. I can see why she's highly decorated in that area. So, yeah, shout out to you, Octavia, for the
Thank
sci-fi
you.
fabulousness here, and Kat for recommending it. And you guys, let's take a quick break and then
Yeah.
we'll come right back. All right, guys, welcome back from the break.
Woo.
What a book, man. What a book.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
pretty good. So let's you know what? I'm gonna spin the wheel. Let's spin the wheel real quick, you guys, so we can know what's up next.
I'm with it.
So spin it, guys. So this next book is actually it's a book. Technically, it's called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. I think Pollan. Pollan. Is that how you would say that, Kat?
English is insane.
Sure. Michael Pollan. I'm going with that.
Okay.
And he has a book called How to Change Your Mind, but he also has I think there's 4 episodes, so it's sort of like a docuseries kind of based on the book, which is what I wanted to watch. And it's basically about the new science of psychedelics and what it teaches us about dying in consciousness, addiction, depression, all of that kind of stuff. And I think this came out in like 2018, so it's not anything new, but I really, really want to talk about it. I'm super interested. So this should be a fun combo. And maybe, you know what, if you think there's somebody cool we should talk to about this, if you have any recommendations, you guys need to put it, like, email us,
Yes,
the Fab
please.
Podcast, or hit us up on IG at the Fab Podcast on Instagram. You guys can always DM us, leave a comment, whatever. We'll find it. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this, friend. This is
And
gonna be
every
great.
time you comment on our post, your penis gets a little bigger.
Wow. And then if you don't have a penis, then what happens?
You're already amazing.
Wow. Okay. All right. There you have it. I stand on that. Okay. Yeah, so this should be fun. This should be really, really fun. And then I'm trying to decide, do I do a Stranger Than Fiction today, friend? Or do we
I
just
think you
say,
should do it.
should I do it?
I think
Oh my
so.
gosh, there's so many
'Cause
ridiculous
this was
things
some
on here.
strange fiction.
It
So
was. Mm-mm-mm.
we need to be reminded that life is actually weirder than this, especially when
That's
you
what's
learn about
crazy.
underground or like underwater life, because I feel like a lot of that stuff looks like aliens.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to be there.
Uh-uh.
It's just a little too foreign. I don't know. I'm just scared.
I'm just
I'm
saying
scared,
though, but
friend.
like they predate us by like millions of years.
I know they do. That also scares me
It's
because you
like
have an
kind of more
advantage.
their planet than ours.
Yeah, and we're so weak and stupid. It's like,
We
this is not ideal. You know what I mean? So
we're
it's just
so
like, I don't
feeble
wanna, yeah,
and
like, what the
frail.
fuck? Like, bitch, I can barely have self-control in real life. You know what I mean? Like, I can barely control my
It's
feelings and shit.
amazing I'm not on a crack binge right
The
now.
Listen, don't make I was about to throw this microphone
You know, it's really
and just
good.
start cussing. That's not cool. I need to get my life together. But yes, I feel that from a very deep place, friends. So, and like I'm trying to figure out what story I want to talk about. Let's see. This is actually a good one. Okay. So this story reads: historic teenager recounts saving 3 girls and a police officer from drowning in a sinking vehicle. This is a 16-year-old high school student. His name was Corian Evans. And he basically, they were like leaving a party. some friends, they were like leaving a party. They decided to kind of go hang out under a bridge or something. Kids just find spots to hang out.
Sure.
So, it's in the evening time or whatever. And he was like, I get in my car, I go to pull off, and I notice that these girls get into a car and they're going in the opposite direction of where the party's gonna be. And he was like, I knew that this bridge like ends, like there's nothing there. Like they'd be like right into the water. So he keeps watching them thinking that they're gonna turn around. They end up actually driving their car into this water or whatever. And so he gets in his car, he goes up there, he ends up swimming in there to save these girls. A police officer shows up, he tries to go in and help save um the three girls that are drowning too, but I think one of them gets really scared, kind of brings the police officer down. And it was a whole situation. He ends up having to go and help the police officer. He rescues all three of them. And I just was like, this is fucking wild, like a 16-year-old. So I don't know, like I was super impressed by this and horrified all at once.
Right, because I really hope my kids don't do stuff like that.
Oh my God, because he could have died, right?
Yes, but what
And
a
this was like the
hero.
best case scenario,
See,
so
that's
just
the
shout out
best
to
parts of
you.
humanity.
This was, I think, yes, I kind of shitted on this a bit, you guys, but there's definitely it's again, like without even
We're
thinking about
complex.
himself. Yes, he went out there and he made it happen. He even saved the police officer because he was down bad. He probably had all his equipment on and stuff too. And yo, I don't know if
Right.
you've ever even tried to assist somebody who kind of couldn't swim. Like if they felt like they will bring you down, like the
No,
flailing
I've
and
never
whatnot.
even tried.
Yo, it's pretty scary. So like the fact that he kept his composure and he was able to kind of think through all of that and successfully get them out of the car, because I don't think they were totally submerged, but like at first, you know what I mean? But like it was filling up with water. So he had to swim one back, go back. And just how exhausting swimming is. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Like, I don't know. Could you swim a lap right
Yo,
now?
no. I mean, and if I did, it would take every inch of like
It
energy that I
would be to
had.
save your children.
It would be, listen, I would need the endorphin rush, like,
The
you know,
adrenaline.
yeah, excuse me, adrenaline, you're wrong, chemical. Yes, because
Yeah, endorphins was what the old collie were
feeling
pumping
too
in
good.
during those
Yeah,
rapes.
exactly, exactly. Oh
But I
God.
guess if I was gonna be raped, I would want some endorphins.
Th and that's kinda what they were saying, like, "Why not feel good?" You know? It's like, well, sure, R. Kelly, take an extra shot
Whatever,
of,
he didn't give them girls no endorphins.
I don't know, he may have, we don't know. Oh,
Mm,
that was more, what's his name? That was,
Bill Cosby.
yeah, the cobster. That's what he did.
Yeah.
Anywho, I'm not about to get on that, but I wanted to, and that's our Stranger Than Fiction story, you guys. I will leave a link. The story I found was on
Yeah.
MSNBC. Shout out to you, young man, Corey and Evan. Shout out to your family. Shout out to those people whose lives were saved. Like, how amazing! And this was in, oh wait, Pascagoula, Mississippi. I said, ooh, that almost sounds like the P Valley city.
Girl, are you caught up on P Valley?
No, so don't talk to me about it. And I mean that. Okay, I gave you the threatening eyeballs if you're watching.
I'm getting the tight
Okay.
lips. I'm not
Okay, great.
saying
All
anything
right,
about how
excellent. Carry
about
on.
what did or didn't
Carry
happen.
on then. See, Shannon, this is what I'm talking about. She be, you know what I mean? You said she doesn't tell you. She always wants to tell me, and I don't want to
I
hear
just
one
want to talk
peep.
about it. This is so wrong
No,
that I want to share
no.
things.
Goodbye.
I
And
just
you
want to
guys,
trade.
thank you for joining us this week. Please come and hang out again with us another week, you guys. We're going to get into some psychedelic conversations. And yeah, we're going to leave you guys. So peace. Have a fantastic week. We
Yeah,
love you
your body
guys.
belongs to you. And
Yes.
peace again to the God, Nichelle Nichols. She lives a long and prosperous life.
Man, shout out to all of you guys. Do stuff you like, man.
Yeah,
Find some
yeah,
joy
you
out there.
deserve. Yeah.
Definitely. All right then,
Bye.
guys. We're out. Peace.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music.
Buzz Viral Marketing runs our social media.
And legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins.
If you like what you heard,
Please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club.
cheers. Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, Rate and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again. And until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.